Welcome to what we'll call the Athletic Philosopher Podcast number 7 with me, Jordan Goldstein, former professor. Some people call me doctor, and when they do, I tell them, please don't call me doctor. Today, I want to talk to everybody about applying wisdom, and in particular, simplifying out the deep value of sports into a practical 1, 2, 3 step formula for all my people out there who are struggling to regain consistency in the gym or to establish a consistent fitness habit as an adult. Now, the deep philosophical part of this is the aim, where we aim ourselves in order to extract out the maximum amount of value and the maximum potential that we have in our lives. And in order for us to bring about that potential, we've got to kick on this internal motivation. So the reason we do something has to come from inside of us. It can't be driven externally. So a lot of the reasons that people are motivated to go to the gym or to start up a consistent fitness routine or a habit or a lifestyle is almost always related to something that is external outside of them. Here's a great example. You go to the doctor and he looks at your charts. He says, you're overweight. She says, your blood pressure, way too high. You're not fit. You need to go to the gym to get healthy. That's an external cue. And we have all this information out there about how exercise can help us lose weight, gain muscle, increase our cardiovascular capacity, make us physically healthy. We have all this external knowledge, we have all this external information, and we have the internal situation where we're just not healthy. Shouldn't that be enough? Shouldn't that be enough to get people into the gym? We're rational creatures, aren't we? We have highly intelligent brains. So if somebody puts forward the information that says, I'm not healthy, do this, become healthy, I should just be able to go and do it, right? I'm sure people who are listening and watching this are nodding along in agreement with me. That just ain't how it works. The external cue doesn't go about changing our internal desire to do something. If we had that internal desire, we would already be inside the gym. We would already be engaged in consistent physical activity. So it's not the external that's going to drive the change inside of ourselves. That has to come about internally, right? So we have all the information we need to tell us to go to the gym, and we still don't go. So now, where are we going to get this initial push? Where are we going to be moving from? A lot of people will say, hey, it doesn't matter about what you feel. It doesn't matter about the information. You just got to suck it up and do it. You got to discipline yourself. You hear it all the time. Motivation is cheap. Discipline is deep, right? You cannot rely on wanting to go to do something in order to make it stick, especially when the thing you are motivating yourself to do is hard and difficult. It requires exertion, intensity, pain, sacrifice, struggle. You got to give up a lot of things in order to get to the gym. You got to give away a lot of yourself in terms of your energy. You got to feel discomfort in order to grow, in order to know that you've actually been working in the gym. And so we just discipline ourselves. I ain't always going to feel like it, but I'm going to go. There's a lot of wisdom in that approach. I'm not going to suggest that there's not value there. We are not always motivated to do the thing we know we should, so we have to fall back on a type of a structure or a kind of a system that's going to allow us to overcome, right, those motivational gaps. And becoming disciplined is an excellent way to do this. Somebody out there is listening to this and saying, yeah, but so many people try this too. So we know that external information is not enough to change our habit. Discipline, well, that can do it. I can just suck it up. If I'm feeling like going to the gym or I'm not feeling like going to the gym, I'm doing it. But there's something deeper than discipline, and this sort of foreshadows my 3-step formula that I'm about to lay on everybody here. Discipline comes from someplace. Let's imagine you're back in school and you've got that mean teacher or that hostile coach, right? The one who yells, the one who screams, the one who punishes and disciplines you strictly and harshly. They're able to get results, right? Get your homework in, or else I'll give you 2 times as much homework the next time. The fear of the discipline is what motivates you to get the results. This works. This fear-based discipline works to get results. But there's a poison pill that's inside of this method. And if you've ever had one of those drill sergeant coaches or super punishing, disciplining teachers, you'll know that the work you produce is not your best work. I think there is a small percentage of people, a sliver of the population that can respond positively to this type of negative discipline pressure. The vast majority of us, however, do not want to be yelled at all the time in order to do something. Yeah, you can get results initially, but over time, the yelling starts to lose its power. The fear-based discipline is not so scary anymore. And what are we creating if we're that authority figure who's always demanding, always punishing, and always disciplining? We're creating resentment in the people who we are leading. We are creating negative emotion that is eventually going to lead them to ignoring us. You see this all the time in the world of professional sports. I'm going to give a nice hockey example here. One of the more colorful coaches in the National Hockey League, the highest professional league in the world, his name is John Tortorella. And he's known as being one of these harsh disciplinarian type of coaches who kind of demands a lot of his players and extracts the effort with a lot of punishing discipline. Everybody knows that a team that's a little bit too loose might end up with a coach like John Tortorella for a little bit. It was too lax. We weren't disciplined enough, so we weren't performing. So now we've got that taskmaster as a coach. And Tortorella is able to get really great results in year 1 in pretty much anywhere he lands. But something happens. By year 2, the players aren't listening as much anymore. And by year 3, he's almost always fired. Because you cannot yell your way to prosperity when it comes to discipline, ultimately leading to motivation. The more you yell, the more you punish based out of fear, the more resentment, and ultimately you're going to be ignored. Now, here's what's interesting about this. If you're the person who says, I'm not motivated to go to the gym, but I'm going to discipline the heck out of myself, and you're that taskmaster, you're that drill sergeant to yourself, you're going to get results. Like, you'll find yourself in the gym in the first couple weeks, but it's that same pattern. You're creating resentment within yourself. Those yelling, that yelling that goes on inside, like, get off the couch, fatso, get your butt to the gym, you're useless unless you are moving, all those kinds of like mean types of discipline, right? You might listen in week 1 and week 2, but by week 5, you ain't going to the gym no more. Because you resent the authority that you're trying to demand of yourself through harsh, unforgiving discipline. But as I said, there's a lot of wisdom in this discipline approach. The problem is people don't understand the different types of discipline, and we oftentimes just default to the harsh drill sergeant disciplinarian model when we are trying to override our lapses in motivation to go and do that hard thing. So if there's fear-based discipline, what's the alternative? Love-based discipline. This is the discipline of the wise, steward, gentle, but firm parent, right? When I'm disciplining my kids, I'm not disciplining them out of fear, do this or else, which was the parenting style for a long time. Now it's discipline out of love. I want to discipline my child, not because I want to make punishment the center, but I want to correct the behavior out of a love. That's that idea of gentle but firm, setting the right boundaries, but also extending grace and understanding and compassion, right? The love that I use to inform the discipline that I put onto my children, for example, is the same kind of love that you need to discipline yourself to find consistency in the gym, right? Discipline is great, but it's not the deepest level. If we want to find consistency, we've got to connect motivation to discipline to love. And that brings me to my 3-step formula on how you can reestablish or discover consistency in the gym. Step 1, find love. Step 1, find love. I'll just mention step 2 and step 3, and then we'll go through them in order. Step 1 is find love. Step 2, establish consistency. Step 3, aim for performance. A lot of times, we start this on the opposite end when it comes to the gym. We go, we expect performance, we expect the numbers and the outcomes to then motivate us towards consistency, and then we'll become somebody who loves going to the gym. But when we aim at the outcomes, we set ourselves up for a fall, because if we haven't been in the gym, we're going to be intimidated by the numbers. I can't lift like the guys that have been going to the gym for decades. I can't run that fast, right? I'm limited by the numbers that I'm going to see, and I may be discouraged when I go to the gym, see what I can do, and think, yeah, I'm not going to be doing this for a long time. Or if you were somebody who was athletic and now you go back, you realize, oh, there's a big gap between where I used to be and where I am now. And that is, again, discouraging. It's a blow to the ego. And oftentimes that's enough to say consistency, bye-bye. So we need love. We need love first. We need love so that we can understand grace, humility, a little bit of gentleness in the initial stages of getting back or finding that consistency, but also firm on the boundaries and allowing discipline to come to the fore. So we want to approach fitness with love in our hearts and love on our mind. But how do you do this? Find love through joy of motion. I'm going to repeat that. You find love by discovering your joy of motion. That's the athletic movement. Could be a sport, could be weightlifting, could be an exercise, could even be something like dancing. Any type of expressive, intense, dynamic way of moving your body that you simply enjoy for its own sake, like you like doing it just so that you can feel the body kinesthetically, like in motion, in dynamic flow, in performance, in execution. Start there. Start there. And if you're thinking, I don't have that, I've never really moved in a way that's evoked that kind of expressive or passionate response, I'm just going to challenge you to experiment. Be curious. Try different things. If you think to yourself, there's not really a sport that I love, I call BS. Sports are like music. Everybody loves music. But not everybody likes every kind of music. There's a particular style, a particular genre, a particular artist that you gravitate to more than somebody else. You might be a little bit country, someone else might be a little bit rock and roll. It's all good. Same thing in sports. I love running. Other people love lifting. Some people like climbing. Other people like throwing and catching. If you haven't found it, experiment and be creative until you do find it. It's crucial that you anchor yourself in this love first. Why? Love is going to inform your discipline in tremendous ways. I can go back to that parenting example as a way for us to better understand this. When I'm using love to guide my actions, adversity, struggle, and sacrifice all make sense. I love parenting my kids, therefore I eagerly give up social opportunities with my friends because I'd rather stay at home and parent my kids. It's one of the things that people worry about when they become parents. How am I going to give up my friends? Where am I going to find time? And then when you become a parent, that giant thing, this mountain of adversity, shrinks right down into a molehill that you just cruise right over because love is powering you through it. It's the same thing that allows me to hold my screaming child in my arms and rock them gently to sleep when they're a baby or a toddler or even a young child, as opposed to just getting angry, yelling, slamming the door, and letting them figure it out on their own. No, I'm willing to eat the tears and the screams. I'm willing to embrace the discomfort because the love just overpowers my desire. Love informs us to delay gratification to a later date, and that is the kind of thrust that we need in the gym, where we're going to be day by day working on our bodies, and over time we're going to see the results follow us. So the adversity in the gym shrinks when you are doing something you love. I'll use myself as an example. I love trail running. I hate exercise. I hate push-ups. I hate resistance. I hate weights. I don't enjoy those movements. And every time I tried to find consistency in the gym, I would start with push-ups. I would start, let me just do some calisthenics. Let me do some body weight workouts. I can do that 3 times a week. No problem. Maybe 2 weeks would go by and I wouldn't be doing them anymore because I didn't enjoy it. I couldn't find the discipline. That drill sergeant, I just ignore him. But the moment I tried trail running, I was hooked. The first time I went trail running, I got addicted to it. I had this feeling, this sensation of just loving what I was doing in the forest. And that allowed me, right, to finally find consistency with resistance work. Because My body was in so much pain after that first time of trail running. I was like, muscles I didn't even know existed were screaming at me. What have you just done? What have you just done to us? Running up hills, running down hills, jaunting side to side. I need upper body strength. I need balance and agility. I need lower body strength. I need cardio improvement. I need everything because I want to do this and I want to get better. And it wasn't to just race people or to get into like a formal competition. I just wanted to feel better doing this activity that I loved. So love powers our discipline and allows us to eagerly take on the adversity. That's why it's step one. Step two, find consistency. Once I've established the love, once I've given myself this internal engine that is going to allow me to overcome adversity and to effectively seek discomfort on my way to the transcendence that I'm looking for, or to the new habits or routines that are going to allow me to break free from bad health. Now I've got the blueprint for consistency. One time a week, I can go out and do that thing I love. 3 to 4 times a week, I got to train so that I can keep doing it. And now I've got a bit of a discipline and motivation inertia, a positive inertia, where I'm motivated to go to the gym and I'm also finding the discipline. So when I'm motivated, there's no problem. But when I'm not motivated, the love powers the discipline to just get in motion and to go do what you need to do. So the love is actually aiding your ability to find the consistency. And this usually takes about 6 to 8 weeks. Like, there's something that's very powerful that happens inside of our bodies, biologically and physiologically, when we start up exercise, right? Our bodies don't crave exercise, otherwise we'd already be doing it. They don't want to necessarily do this hard work, right? So when we exercise for the first couple of weeks, our bodies are not super happy. Like, they're sore, they're stretching out. I'm not getting a lot of positive feedback necessarily. Like, I'm not floating on the runner's high or anything like that. But physiologically, after about 6 weeks or so, something changes. Something changes inside of your body. And now, instead of avoiding that work, my body craves it. My body demands those feel-good hormones that flood into my body after I'm finished. There have been some intriguing studies that show that for somebody who crosses this 6-week threshold and who establishes a habitual routine in fitness, if you stop them from just one exercise session, they start to exhibit signs of clinical depression just from missing one workout. And why is that? Because their body craves it. Your body physiologically now is working for you. So for a lot of the people I deal with, and for you listening out there, you gotta make it to 6 weeks. You gotta figure out, how can I just go 3 to 4 times a week for 6 weeks? And then something will change inside of me. And 6 weeks doesn't sound like a long time until you're at week 4 and the discipline, the yelling, the no motivation, right? Stopping you dead in your tracks. Love fills the gap. Love allows you to move through that initial stage of adversity. So love first, consistency second. After you've established consistency. So not during this initial build phase. We're building a foundation here. The foundation is love. The actions that are built upon that become your habits. And once your habits are in place, then you can start to aspire towards the top. Then you can start to aim for performance. Then you can start to acquire skill which is related back to love, because if I love the activity and I'm doing it from the inside, which is kind of like related to my spiritual energy, well, then I'm going to want to get better. I want technique. I want skill. I want improvement. I want to go test myself. I want to show up in a competition and perform and execute and display what is valuable and important and meaningful to me from the inside that I've been consistently working at and getting better and better and better in. Performance is the cherry on top of the foundation. It is not the base. It's not the outcomes that should be first and top of mind. They should follow. They shouldn't even really be in your thought if you're trying to get back into the gym. The only statistic that matters to you is related to that second phase, consistency. How many times do you show up? And if you don't want to show up and you do, count that as double. Count that as double because you overcame both the physical challenge of the workout, but most importantly, the spiritual challenge of overcoming the adversity of wanting to quit, and not showing up. Those are the wins that count for double when you are at the beginning stage. And how are you going to bring yourself to do the thing when you want to quit? It's love. It always comes back to love. So, to wrap all this up, and I know I talked a lot, especially about love, but that's why I think this is going to be a banger of an episode, and it's really going to be impactful for the people who listen and hear the message. If we want to build something that lasts, and that isn't built upon a foundation of lies or a foundation of fear, well, guess where we have to build it? We've got to build it from the heart on out. And at their deepest, to get back to the philosophy, at their deepest, sports are spiritual. They come from the world of religion, and they relate to this part of us that demands perfection, demands excellence, and demands to be able to perform it. But we cannot allow that drive for the outcome to overtake the creation of the process, right? If you want to engage in fitness as a lifelong endeavor, you cannot be goals-based. You cannot be outcome-based. It has to be who you are. It can't be what you do. And if you want to tie it to the deepest parts of who you are, well, that's your heart. That's what you love. And I've talked practically about how this works, but spiritually, it should be pretty clear that there's only one answer here. Love comes first, consistency flows from that, then performance. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Now it's up to you. Find that love, find that joy of motion, find that deep internal why, and then try to get consistent in the gym. If you do that, my guess, you'll find success in a way you've never experienced it before. And what a blessing that will be for you. Peace and love.